Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hello everybody and welcome back once again to round 2 of the iRacing Israel League, brought to you by Apex Racing TV. I am your host Aaron Smith and I'm joined in the production booth by Sam Fitzpatrick, who is new to this series I believe, and of course we can't forget Lewis Arroyo in the production booth. Sam, obviously you're new to this series, but you haven't had too much time to look up or prepare for this league at all, but just on the surface, what are your expectations going into this round?
Slipstreaming. I think we're going to see a lot of drafting tonight, and it's a pleasure to be here. Whilst this is the first time I've been broadcasting or commentating on this series in this car, done plenty of iRacing Israel in the past, and it's always one of the most entertaining leagues that we have on the channel. So I could see some familiar faces back once again, as this series is ever so established, and I think in this car around this circuit we're going to see a lot of close quarters action.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you. As we saw, I believe actually we've had Road America quite a lot in this season of iRacing. In a few different series that we've commentated here on Apex, we've had the likes of Radicals. I think we had some Formula cars around here, and yeah, slipstreaming is incredibly crucial around here. If you fall outside of that slipstream range, it's pretty much game over. I think it was the 3.5 race where we saw that it was absolutely game changing, and we'll see who can make the best of it here today. But last time out, of course, we had an absolutely chaotic race in the heat and the feature race, but nevertheless it's Alan Day and Dmitry Shirokov who line up pretty much tied on points, and well, it's only been one round, but we can expect those guys, along with the top, well, pretty much 7-8 drivers, being incredibly close, as that just shows you how chaotic it was last time out. And they're all separated by 8 points in that top 8, which is just, it's always good to see a nice close championship. And I think this week it might be a little bit more spread out, as we were around an oval last time out, which, as we all know, can be extremely chaotic. But I think Alan Day still has that pace advantage as well. He was on pole last time out and absolutely sped away from the rest of the field. But here's your AM championship points, and for once, the AMs actually have a little bit more points to the pros, which once again just shows how utterly chaotic that first round was, with Meshalem in the first place with 66 points, as he kept out of trouble. And obviously, as we all know, consistency is key in a championship like this, with Arthur Albert in second place, only 3 points behind, and then 4 points behind is Tyson Baba. And I think both of these championships are going to be super, super close. And as Sam was saying, there are key things around here in these cars, slipstreaming being one of them. And if you can gain that time back, well, you're in for a good day of racing. But we're in qualifying at the moment. The drivers just getting ready for their first few laps. It is a very, very long lap time around here. And I believe Sam has some experience around Road America. Sam, what are your thoughts on this track just as a whole?
It's probably in my top 5 favorite circuits, if I'm honest. I think it's so good for racing. As you were saying before, if you drop out the draft, then it can be a big problem. But every corner is so satisfying. It's mainly just a single line through most of these corners. It's not the most complex circuit. I'd say probably the carousel is the one where maybe in different cars you maybe take it slightly differently. But most of them are sort of 90-degree corners, which just flow one into the other. And yeah, it's all about racecraft. It's not necessarily getting to the front. I think pole position, if anything's not going to count for that much, because you are going to be able to make those moves as the race goes on. As we currently got Kana up at the top, 4 tenths of a second clear of Yaron or Shaikov's nearest times.
Yeah, I think qualifying, it's important to be up there, but necessarily if you don't get pole, it's not the end of the world. As if you can just tuck in behind the driver in front of you, just sit behind, wait for an opportunity, then I think you've got a good chance of getting ahead of them. But it is a fairly long lap round here, about the low 2 minute mark, as Kana there, 2 minute 9.423. Pretty good lap. Of course, it was only his first lap, and we expect those times to come down a little bit. But yeah, it's a tough qualifying round here. So if you make one mistake, it's pretty much a qualifying over, as it takes so long to get round here in these slower Formula cars that, you know, if you go off track and damage your car and you have to tow back to pit lane, it is pretty much game over, and you will not be able to get a good lap in. So that first lap, you kind of just want to take it easy, just get a decent lap in, as I think some of the drivers are doing that. Some other drivers going for a little different approach, going for full push on both of the laps. But yeah, I think the Pro Championship, Alan Day there, I think we can expect good things from him as always. He, you know, last time out, absolutely just the distance from him from second at such a short track kind of showed what we were expecting with his level of experience. And yeah, I can expect sort of the same things from him today. But you never know, someone might be able to take the fight to him, and rather hope that that will be the case, as Shirokov goes a little bit quicker to move himself up into third place. But Sam, I think most of us know how good Alan is, and do you think he'll be able to run away with it just as he did in that heat race last time out?
No, I don't think he's going to be able to run away with it. I don't think he's going to necessarily have the pace over the rest of the field in order to be able to accomplish that. I think it's going to be a lot closer. And currently in qualifying, he has not got that pole position at time. Top of the AMS is currently Elkinstor. Kana at the top of the Pro Zubrev across the line and goes a little bit faster. But yeah, I think last time out being on an oval, like it's a different sort of skill set. I think a few of the drivers maybe weren't familiar with that style of racing in the past. Remember, you know, these guys aren't necessarily in this car a whole lot. That the series tends to change car every single season, and so they're still getting used to it. And so that sort of combination could be very unusual. Whereas Alon just took to it like a duck to water. So I think tonight we're going to see a slightly higher quality. As they maybe go slightly against me, he is up at the top. He's a 10th clear of the rest of the field.
Yeah, that's sort of what we were expecting. I think the only reason why he didn't also dominate the feature races just because he got caught out in a really unfortunate incident in those first few laps, trying to make his way back through the field after reverse grid pole. But qualifying is finished, and unsurprisingly, it is Alan Day on pole by a tenth of a second, which actually around here isn't too much. But we then got Shirin Kana in second place, Dmitry Shirokov in third, Nadav Yaron in fourth, Errol Elkin in fifth place on pole for Am, Yossi Gabay in sixth place, Orez Sadaya in seventh, Mark Zubarev in eighth, Michael Simon in ninth. Amir Hesed rounds out your top 10. Tommy Ventura in 11th place. Tal Stern in 12th place. Draw last in 13th. Ben Yosov in 14th place. Adan Sher in 15th. Arnon Levi in 16th. Dedi Diag in 17th. Ofer Mazuz in 18th. Bertie Galili in 19th. Really Tazor in 20th place. And then your last few people who didn't really manage to get a good time in or any time in at all. Amir Meshalam in 21st, Baba in 22nd, Albert in 23rd, and Benny Sorok rounds out your grid. 24 cars in this first heat race. It's a fairly long heat race, it has to be said. We've got no time to wait. We are gonna get ready to go racing here. But this long formation lap, it's one of the more longer formation laps in all of iRacing, as you do have to go around the entire track, unlike, let's say, Le Mans, where you do start around Indianapolis, I think, on the formation lap. But, Sam, when you're on these types of formation laps, when you have a lot of time to just think to yourself, what's going through a driver's mind?
Well, usually in my scenario, it's boredom. And it's a case of why aren't we doing the short formation lap? I have had it in the LMP2 Fix series recently at Manucor and Jerez, which are two new circuits. I don't know if you can grid up like shorter around those circuits, but we didn't in the official series. And then it's just 3 minutes of boredom. I just want to get racing, and I question why I'm there. Around this circuit, we could have done for the shorter one, because you can grid up just before the final corner, but the admins have decided to go for the long formation lap, which is absolutely fair enough in a league event. In an official say it's very annoying, but in a league event it's absolutely fair, because it gives us a bit of an opportunity to establish the grid and get to know these drivers. But yeah, maybe a serious answer to your question, and I think it's just, making sure that you're not driving into the other drivers. We've seen it in the past, obviously. And that can be absolutely disastrous in these single-seater machines. So keeping it clean, keeping an eye on your mirrors, and yes, when it comes to the final couple of corners, that you start thinking about exactly where you're going to be positioning your car for the launch.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you on there, as I have had it a few times around here. I think it was actually last season at IMSA, where for some reason we had the normal, like, full-length formation lap, and yeah, a lot of the time it is just boredom, because on iRacing, like, swerving to warm up your tires doesn't really do that much compared to a lot of other sims and possibly, real life, as we see Baba going for a little bit of a detour there. I don't think he was fully paying attention on this formation lap. But yeah, a lot of the time it is just boredom, just waiting just to get going. And yeah, it is a little bit tedious sometimes, especially around such a long track like this. It is around like 4 minutes of just sort of building up that anticipation, building up that adrenaline to just boot it as soon as the lights go green. And especially if you're the leader, it does give you those extra few minutes just to plan out your start, plan out your attack on the rest of the field. And possibly if you're in second and a little bit behind, you can also plan out your own attack on the leader. And yeah, it's more just, it gives you time to have a think, just prepare yourself for the inevitable chaos that's about to happen. As when you come around these final few corners, it is just that anticipation of, okay, we're nearly ready, just a few more corners and we can boot it and we can finally get racing. As I think it's more scary in the middle of the pack, as you don't know what the guy behind you is going to do, you don't know if there's going to be a pile up in front of you, and it is very scary starting in that mid pack. If you're up the front or at the back, you have a chance to avoid some chaos, but yeah, as we round the final corner, just waiting for the safety car to pull off. Is Alan Day going to go early, or is he going to wait until the literal final second? And I think he's gone there. And we come across the line to begin racing here at Road America. And Alan Day has gotten that start off to an absolute treat. He's already a few tenths ahead of the cars behind. And a little move from Elkin there, trying to make it 3 wide into turn 1. But that's the 48 going wide. That's Canna, your second place man, going off the track. I think he's just slipping down the field. I think he's managed to get it back on the track safely somehow. But there's, I think, Zubarev off in the background as well. And that's Canna again off in the background. That's a huge crash. And that's at least, I think, 4 or 5 cars involved in there. Another car spinning off. And we've already got a huge pile-up on this opening lap. And, well, of course, we have another race for these drivers to make all of this up again. But that's at least 5 or 6 cars involved in that lap 1 crash there. But it's Alan Day who leads the field away. And, well, that's not the ideal start for some of these drivers. But Sam, what did you make of that? Did you see anything in the background there that looked a bit off?
Well, we might be able to find out now, but I think you were saying 4 or 5. I think it was in the high single figures. You saw initially a yellow and white car avoid, and I think Galili managed to sort of just pick his way through it. No, he did not. He had 2 cars right in the middle of the circuit, could not avoid it. These drivers do have a faster pair, so they'll be able to get back out on circuit, but obviously their races have been heavily compromised. And yeah, just lots of drivers having to dart left and right. 5 drivers have gone back to the pits. We wait to see if any will drive to the pits. There it was. And well, it happened fairly far back, but then there was sort of 2 separate incidents. We had, well, 3 separate incidents. We had Zubarev go straight on at turn 2, then we had a secondary incident on the exit of turn 2, and then we had a 3rd incident midway through turn 2. So much stuff happening. This was what happened to Kana, and he just lost it completely by himself after already going off at turn 1, and that was very unlucky for a number of drivers.
Yeah, it's that's what I was saying about the mid-pack, is if something happens, you're very likely to get caught out in it, which, yeah, as we saw there, was very apparent. And the field is nice and spread out now, but we've still got some battles going on as Gabay tries to make a move on Ventura. The outside line, not really the ideal one going into turn 1 as he backs out of it. I think that's the smart thing to do, as going for a move into turn 1 actually, in my opinion, isn't the strat. And you can hear him lifting off going into turn 3 now. And this is the overtaking opportunity you want. You want to get this massive slipstream down this back straight, going under the cheese sign. We're real cheese people, of course, being a very iconic little slogan there. But I don't think these drivers will be too fast as Gabay tries to go around the outside now of turn 5. Bit of a bold move. Is he going to be later on the brakes than Ventura? He is a little bit into the corner, but he's going to get a poor exit there. And Ventura now has the inside line for this next corner. I think Ventura might have this one covered off. Yes, he does, as Ventura.
And that's Shirkov.
Yeah, that's Shirkov going off. Don't know what happened there. Of course, that's a very tricky uphill braking. Maybe he had a trip through the grass somewhere. But Ventura sticking
ahead. He's gone into the back of him, Gabay, and he's going to lose it as well. Where's Shirkov? I think, Gabay disappeared for a moment. I thought he may have got disqualified or something.
Yeah.
But he then reappeared, and he reappeared just in the way there. And that's meant that Elkin has gone up to 2nd place in all of that overall in this race. It was the initial mistake there from Shirkov. He's gone, yeah, I mean, it's very tricky over the crest. The rear goes light. And then it's a bit of an unsafe rejoin as well, with a couple of drivers approaching him. And then he's kind of going to get maybe a bit of karma afterwards, because he's got a car stuck in the middle of the circuit right in front of him just a few moments later.
Yeah, I think Gabay was just a little bit too optimistic on the brakes there and ran into the back of Ventura. And I think Shirkov just about managed to avoid it, thanks to Gabay just blinking there. But yeah, Gabay, I don't think he actually has any damage, but it's definitely damaged his spirits for this whole race pretty much. And yeah, he's fallen way down the pack, as has Ventura. We've had quite a lot of incidents in this first few laps, and we're only about 4 minutes into this heat race, but we've got plenty more action to come, I can promise you that. And this is the view from Ben Yesov's diffuser. He's got Hesed all over the back of him. That was a poor entry into turn 1 for Ben, as he went really deep into the corner. He's got 2 cars all over the back of him. And Hesed has to just tuck in behind as he gets a little bit optimistic on the throttle, but I think Yosef also made a mistake into that corner. But Hesed is now tucked into the slipstream nicely. I don't think Yosef is going to fight this one too much as Hesed pulls out of the slipstream, and we go into turn 5 now. I think Hesed easily has this overtake done and dusted. He's taking a very tight line through there, and kind of compromised himself on the exit. Not really sure that was the best way to get an overtake done, but nevertheless, Ben Yosef gets ahead, and that's Levy trying to go for a move on Shirokov, who of course made that mistake last lap, but couldn't quite get it done there. But this is quite an intriguing battle we've got here, pretty much for 4th place, I believe. And Elbert kind of at the back. And Sam, if you're Elbert in this position, you've got 2 cars ahead of you. Do you try and get involved in this battle, or do you sit back and just wait for an opportunity?
I think he's got to go for it because these guys ahead of him are making a few mistakes, and if he feels like he's faster, it's worth getting ahead, and maybe if they do make a mistake, he'll be able to break the draft. So, yeah, I think whilst you can go for it, you should absolutely do so. Wouldn't say it's too much sort of tactical racing so far. As I said, is he going to lift out of this one? No, he is going to go for the overtake into Canada corner on the car number 10. He's slightly tight, as we saw back at turn 5 as well, but managed to get it stopped very nicely. And you can see how the jars really close up behind. By the way, we've got a Skriroff out there in, at the moment, I think 8th place overall. Apologies for pronouncing his name incorrectly so far. Do let us know how to pronounce Dimitri's name, because the SHK I'm not totally familiar with. So anyone in the YouTube chat who would like to clarify that for us would be much appreciated, as the chase happens once again. And we're only a couple of corners away from this happening all over again, up into turn 5 as well. And that is what racing is about. As Alan Day actually has made a mistake out in the lead. Alan Day has lost the lead of this race. He's off the circuit still. Is he going to rejoin ahead of these guys?
Yeah, I was just noticing that on the timing screens. He was just tumbling down the order. He had a nice, comfortable gap behind to Elkin. Going into turn 3 here, and there's a car up ahead. Oh, no!
Oh, no.
That's more bad luck for Alan Day, as in the feature race 2 weeks ago, another unfortunate incident for him today. He surely has to tow back to the pits, and yes, he has. And, well, that's just more bad luck for him, but this battle's still going on. I think Ben Yosef has managed to break away a little bit as these guys fight right until the very end. And I'm not sure it's too smart to to fight. to fight, excuse me. This early in the race. Oh, that was... Oh, and that's Zubrev getting it very, very loose as we head into the carousel now. And yeah, Ben really starting to pull it away massively now. He has 5 seconds behind him, and that just shows how much battling, especially around a track like this with a lot of 90-degree corners, it does compromise your exit massively. And look at the gap he has behind already, and he's going to be laughing all the way to the bank. He has a big gap in front of him, but I don't think he'll be complaining that behind, well, he's pretty much comfortable for now, as long as he doesn't make any mistakes, and the cars behind won't be benefiting from slipstream at all. But here's a little battle that's been brewing for the last few laps, the battle for 2nd place, and Sadaya and Yaron battling it out. And Yaron has got the benefit of slipstream, of course, but we know overtaking around here isn't easy. You got to play it smart. Is he going to go for a move into turn 1? It's going to be bold if he does. He's going to try and be late on the brakes. He puts his front wing right down the inside, but can't quite make it work and just has to back out of it. Is he going to go for another move into turn 3? He can't quite do. I think it's a smart thing to back out of that corner, as it just kind of leaves you vulnerable right down this straight. And Sadea then is going to be the one left vulnerable. This time, though, as Yaron has that massive slipstream benefit, is he going to have an opportunity to go into turn 5 ahead of Sadaya? We're going to find out. He's going to choose to go to the outside, as Sadaya chooses to go to the inside, but Yaron can't quite make it work. He wasn't brave enough on the brakes, and I think this lap, though, it's going to be Sadaya who's winning it out, as the number 22 trying to go for a move up the hill, but it's very, very tricky to go for a move in there. One of the more trickier overtakes around the entire track, and yeah, unsurprisingly couldn't quite make it work. But Sam, I gotta ask, Who's your money on?
Well, I think Elkin's looking very, very good out in the lead, but in terms of, yeah, that battle, I think maybe Euron looked ever so slightly quicker. No real rush though for those Jazz. I feel like they've lost touch with Elkin now. 4.3 seconds the gap.
Oh!
Oh, we got a crash in behind. That's Albert spinning
Oh,
round, and I think that's two other Jazz, Levy
yeah.
and Hesed, also getting involved. Was it Hesed, the initial drive, who made contact as Albert spun it around, and the third Joe just had absolutely no chance to avoid it, and that was just a solo mistake then. So we'll see it. Here is Arnon Levy, the 39, and just the car swings across. Maybe Levy could have left a bit more space on the left there. Just being a little bit more cautious, but I mean, ultimately it was just some bad luck. And well, like I said before, they have a faster pair, but incidents like that really do cost you bad, and I think any of those drivers would have fancied their chances of getting a podium in their class.
Yeah, I think we've seen a lot of mistakes in this race, which of course is not good for a championship, and I think Levi has made another mistake somewhere in the middle part of this lap, and yeah, he's towed back to the pits, and we're going to get a little bit of a replay as to what happened to him. He's already got a lot of damage, as you can see there, basically crabbing it down this back straight. As we go into Canada corner, yeah, can barely get it stopped, and it spins round, and I think tries to rejoin. Nope, I think he did the smart thing there and towed back to the pits. Didn't want to put any other drivers in danger, and yeah, proving good sportsmanship there, sort of thinking the better of it. But this battle for second place still going on. Yaron unable to make a move for second place, and I think Hesed has also gone into the pit lane. He was one of the drivers involved in that big incident, and you can see there Yaron seems to be quite a bit braver on the brakes in certain corners, but unfortunately I don't think it's the corners where overtaking is really an opportunity. And we'll see into this next corner who's going to be a little bit braver on the brakes, and I think once again Yaron was just that tiny bit better on the brakes, and we'll see if Yaron actually might be able to go for an overtaking opportunity into Canada corner. I think Mizzou somewhere has also made mistakes. Lot of mistakes coming out in this race. Yeah, he's gone deep into turn 5 somewhere and has lost a few places. I think we've had a few more mistakes further back as Baba's now falling behind as well.
Yes, Stern being involved in that one.
Yeah, not quite sure what happened between those two, but yeah, Sam, a lot of mistakes coming out in this race. Do you think it's more down to the car or more of these tricky conditions around this track?
I think it's mainly just the car. Maybe running a little bit lower downforce for this circuit. It's not easy to be able to control the car at all. Oh, there's a car in the middle of the. Well, it wasn't exactly in the middle of the circuit, but it wasn't far off the racing line certainly. As we are already onto the white flag lap. Only one more lap remain for these drivers. By the way, track temperature 29 degrees, so it's a little bit warm, but it's not too bad. And I hope the drivers would have been prepared for this one, as just getting his nose ahead, heading into turn 1 is Euron. But Sedi is not going to give it up whatsoever. They go alongside good, fair racing between the two of them through the first part of this lap. Now into turn 3. And for now, Euron is ahead, but he had to get out of the throttle when really he wanted to be accelerating, punching down this long straight to turn 5, and it's Seda who has got back ahead, but Euron should be able to dip back into the draft and have a great chance into turn 5.
Yeah, he dipped back into the draft only for a split second there, and very, very late. But speaking of very, very late, he's going very, very late onto the brakes into turn 5, and I think he's finally got ahead of Seda and moves himself up into second place, and we'll see if he can hold on to it for this last lap. But Elkin out in front, not really had too much competition after Alan Day had his unfortunate incident. More bad luck for him, but other drivers, of course, going to be benefiting massively. And Alan Day in the feature race is going to have it all to do. But we know how quick he is, and I'm sure it will be entertaining to see him come through the field, if he can keep out of trouble, of course. But Elkin not really put a foot wrong this race, just kept out of trouble, let other drivers around him make the mistakes that he has not even thought about, and has come away today, as long as he can make it around these final few corners, of course, and I haven't just jinxed him. But actually, this battle for second place isn't quite over yet, as Sadai is going to take the fight into Canada corner, and Yaron went very, very deep into that corner, and Sadaya ran into the back of him. But that means that Yaron is going to keep that second place, as Sadaya just lost too much time and didn't really have an opportunity to re-overtake. But it's going to be Ariel Elkin, the number 18, taking victory in this first heat as he comes around the final corner across the line and wins the heat race in Road America. He's going to be starting 10th place in the feature race. Yaron then eventually comes home in second. Sadaya in third place. That was a good battle for second place. It's going to be Dimitri, who had a decent comeback throughout that race. And it always going to be a run to the line for this. I believe this is for 5th place. And Ben Yosef is just going to about win that battle. 8/100ths of a second. That was super close to the line. Gabay as well coming across the line. And it also proves just how chaotic this race was, that even though some drivers made mistakes, they managed to come away with a fairly decent result, Sam.
Yeah, they did. I mean, I'm shocked to see Zubuev that high up. Remember, Zubuev was sparring off the circuit at turn 2 on lap 1, and must have been outside the top 15, maybe even outside the top 20 for a moment. And then he's up there in 6th place overall come the race end. So yeah, really good effort from him in particular, and a fair few other drivers as well. Mechelem and Elbert, by the way, up 12 and 13 places respectively, despite Albert's setback as well when he had that spin in the middle sector of the lap. So, you know, that's going to be some positivity for some of the drivers who are going to have to gain some places that they know that it's very possible. But I hope that we see, yeah, if anything, a few less kind of action in the second race, so we can see some tight battling up at the front, because I don't think Elkin's necessarily a whole lot faster than the rest of these drivers, but through those small mistakes that you were saying, of course, he wasn't even thinking about making, he really was able to dominate the field in that race 1.
Yeah, and I think this race, I think around Run America in general, it kind of seems to be a theme going on here, that if you just don't make any mistakes, you'll get a good result. As we saw in the opening race of Radicals this season, that had you not made any mistakes, you would have finished on the podium. And that was just the same here today. If you kept out of trouble and didn't make any mistakes, of course, you know, some of these drivers just got caught up in unfortunate incidents. You can't blame them for them at all. As we had quite a few pile-ups today. I think we had about 3 or 4 in this opening heat, and as Sam said, I hope we can have a little bit more clean racing in the feature race. It's always nice to see side-by-side, wheel-to-wheel action, and having it end up with both drivers coming around the corner, still pointing in the correct direction. But your final driver, Levy, crossing the line to be your final driver to cross the line on the lead lap. But yeah, wow, what a chaotic heat race that was. And we're not done. We're not even done. We've still got one more race to go. And it's Arthur Elbert who is on pole position for this feature race. Amir Meshalem in 2nd place. Gabay in 3rd. Ventura in 4th place. Zubrev in 5th. Ben Yosef in 6th. Shakarov in 7th place. Sadaya in 8th place. Yaron in 9th. And Elkin, your Heat 1 race winner, in 10th place. Offa Mazuz in 11th place. Dag in 12th place. And I think... yeah, that top 10 is really I think it's gonna be a huge battle. But really Tazor in 13th, Kana in 14th, Surak in 15th, Stern in 16th, Hesed in 17th, Last in 18th, Michael Simon in 19th, Arnon Levy in 20th place, Sher in 21st, Baba in 22nd, Alan Day left all to do in 23rd, and Galili in last place in 24th. And I think Alan Day has got a lot to do in this race, but I think he can get a good result here if he can just take it easy on those first few laps and allow the field to spread out a little bit, and then take an opportunity just to catch up to the rest of the drivers. As we saw, of course, on that opening lap, that it was just chaos, and no one really could keep it pointing in a straight line. And yeah, Sam, I'm sure, you know, me and you have been in this position before where you've had a bad race, you have another opportunity to make up for it. You know, what goes through a driver's mind when you know you're the quickest out of everyone in the field, but you're last place? You know, what's the game plan?
Well, I think you're absolutely right that he could get up there. I think he'll finish top 5, honestly.
Mm.
You know, should he stay clean and maybe even a top 3, maybe even the race win. I'm not going to rule him out of the race win. I think it's very possible. We've seen crazier things happen before in this series. I think Alon, you know, he's not going to be taking this super to heart. I don't think he's going to be especially upset, especially seeing that crash now was 10-15 minutes ago. And so I think he'll be looking at this one for a bit of fun. He'll be wanting to get a decent result. Yeah, he'll know better than anyone else in this field sort of the risks that lie in front of him. He'll be leaving a lot of space for the other drivers, I imagine, on this opening lap. And yeah, just for seeing what will happen as, dearie me, we've got a driver off the circuit. It's Oren Dada, who of course was so fantastic in race 1. And he's going to have to move his way back through the order. He's got plenty of time to do it, fortunately, but I hope he hasn't got any damage.
Yeah, I think some drivers have we seen on this formation lap maybe just not paying too much attention, as we saw it in Heat 1 as well. And yeah, he's just dipping onto the grass, and yeah, not really sure what I think he's had some kind of issue, actually. I'm not sure. Maybe he's had to restart his wheel or something. That did not look natural at all. I don't even think he wasn't paying attention. I just think he had some kind of technical problem there. Maybe, yeah, just wheel problems, pedal problems. Not quite sure, but you know, luckily it's the formation lap. He can just drive back up to where he should be. But yeah, very weird incident. He sort of just drove off to the side of the track. I don't really think I've seen something like that before. But hey, you know, everything's a first, and that's a first. I've seen someone do that. But yeah, formation laps can sometimes prove a little bit chaotic, as Sam was saying. You know, it is just boredom on this kind of formation lap. You are just eagerly anticipating the start. As yeah, so they're just making his way back through the field, trying to do so without crashing into other cars.
Yeah, he's got one more road to go, and actually very made that very useful. Did I think that was Dayag who slowed down to allow him past. That was good driving, and Seda now back into his rightful 8th position on the grid after that podium in race 1. Of course, if it wasn't clear, top 10 inverted for this race 2 from the race 1 results. So yeah, 9 places to gain then for Ariel Elkin to be able to take back-to-back wins here at Road America.
Yeah, I think if he can just do similarly what he did in race 1, just keep it consistent, have some good pace, and yeah, he might be able to get another race win. But of course, we're going to find out as we round the final corner now. The field sort of spreading itself out a little bit, but of course they're going to bunch up here, and the leader, of course, has the right to pick when he goes. And I think he's already gone. I think he's already racing as we go racing here for the last time here at Road America. I don't think it was an amazing start from Elbert, as Michelin is already alongside him. And yeah, this is going to be very tight into turn 1. I think Ventura is trying to sneak up a move, but going through wide into turn 1 isn't a smart idea. But Michelin then going round and taking the lead into this feature race. That's a good start. I think we've had some incidents, yeah, in the background. I just saw that. That was absolutely huge. We've already got, I think, 3-4 drivers who have towed back to the pits already. Another huge incident. And I think Alan Day just managed to avoid all of that, but he has unfortunately put a big gap in front of him, around 5.5 seconds, which is a huge amount. But luckily, it's the start of the race. And this is the replay of what actually happened. And we're on board with the number 36 as we head into the first corner. And just not the smartest thing to do. And just unfortunately, some drivers avoiding action. But in doing so, they ended up being involved in the action. So yeah, just some of these drivers not having the best of luck in today's race at all. I think Ventura has had a little bit of an off-track excursion up ahead. Yeah, not too bad. He's got some time, of course, to make it up, but not the ideal way to start a race. But luckily, he didn't get any damage from that, I don't believe. I don't know if he got a shove or he just was too late on the brakes, but I think it was just him being a little bit optimistic on this opening lap. But here is Stern trying to go for a move. Actually, he was, I believe. Oh, and that's. He's going to be
No,
careful. No,
and he's
he's
going to
messed up.
bounce back
Yep,
in, and that's
and that's
2,
another huge
3,
bit.
that might be 4,
Oh,
5, and incredibly, the yellow card got through. Was that Hased?
that was
He's
Day.
absolutely gone underneath. Alan Day has gone underneath. My goodness me. Well, that's something that Evil Knievel would be proud of. Alan Day, the 42, just making his way
Oh.
through the field, and how he survived this opening lap after the crash at turn 1 and then the crash at the kink is quite miraculous. Here comes Day. Does he even lift off the throttle? Nah. Lifting off the throttle is for scrubs. Alan Day does not lift off the throttle. He's through up into 10th place. He's gained 13 places on one lap, and that is stunningly good driving there for Alan Day. And frankly, he
Elkin's
deserves
off.
it because he should have won race 1, as Elkin, who did win race 1, is off at turn 1.
Yeah, we've had debatably an even more chaotic start to this race than the opening heat, which I must say, a little bit surprising. I thought the opening heat would be more chaotic, but yeah, excuse me, just like a few weeks ago, the feature race is actually even more chaotic than the first race, as this is what happened to Elkin into turn 1. Is he? Oh, don't do that, Elkin. Oh, yeah, I think that wasn't the smartest thing for him to do. Yeah, unlike last time in the heat where he was being a little bit smart with his moves, unlike this race, yeah, that wasn't the smartest thing to do, and probably should have sat back, but yeah, he's not out of this race. He's still got an opportunity to make up the lost positions, but that's gonna rather dent his spirits in this feature race. But yeah, I'm still absolutely speechless as to what Alan Day did a lap ago. I don't know how he made it through that alive. Quite frankly, I really don't know. I think he kept his foot planted just because he kind of had to after that poor heat 1, and yeah, if he wants to keep this championship alive, he kind of has to take those risks, and he could have obviously put himself in danger. But yeah, wow, what an absolutely spectacular spectacle. But as we move away from Alan Day's just utter ridiculousness, here's the battle for third place, as we've got Zubrev trying to go around the outside. This isn't a move you see very often, but he got all bouncy on that curb, as a number 13 of Ventura now trying to go around the outside of the final corner, but of course that didn't work too well and rather pushed him onto the grass. As you can see in the background, Alan Day kind of already, oh, this is getting very, very close, a little bit too close for comfort, I'd say. And well, I hope they don't go 3 wide. Are they going to ignore my advice? It kind of, I think Ventura just backed out of that, but Connor
Ventura's off now.
Yeah, Ventura's off. He backed out of that and then backed into the gravel. I think he might have just gone a little bit too deep into turn 1. And Alan Day also making good progress. He's already up into 6th place. And well, Sam, you said that he might be able to win this race. Don't count him out. And well, look at the progress he's making already.
Yes, it's impressive. He actually matched the race leader on that last lap, so he stopped losing time now to the race leader, as you tend to do when you're battling through the order, as we have now got a 3 wide. It's the 959 of this Ventura, Elkin, and Levi. And the 18 is going to send it. We've got a bit of puff of smoke up ahead as well. Elkin, apologies, was on who was sending it, and he got stopped really, really well. Mazus and another driver, I think it was Shkrikov, went off the circuit at turn 5, and that has promoted these drivers up a couple of places as we get a replay of it. And actually, the AAA is going to send it round all by himself, and then just going to collect it. And I mean, such a common mistake on the exit of turn 5, and then is this going to be an unsafe rejoin? It is, and well, it's another one then where if Mazus has... Oh no, Mazus has done a slightly unsafe rejoin as well, but I don't think it got anyone out. And fortunately, Mazus can continue in the race.
Yeah, and we had Elkin making contact there with Ventura, but yeah, it's not the first time we've seen Shirkov make a little bit of an unsafe rejoin in this race. I think he did the same thing in Heat 1. He kind of came back on the track a little bit without looking at his relative. And yeah, that is very, very important to do. Just anyone, for beginners who's new to iRacing, if you do end up making a mistake, just make sure to pay attention to your relative. It is really, really crucial, as you do not want to put anyone else's race at risk and possibly end up making yours even worse. So yeah, just a little bit of a tip for people who might be new to this game. Of course, iRacing being one of the more serious simulators out there, obviously being the most popular in terms of multiplayer races. I think iRacing is sort of unparalleled when it comes to that. As when we look at Alan Day, who's had the rate of races so far, it's going to be a bit of an ask to win this race. He has a huge gap to the leaders, I think around of 10 seconds, which I think even for him is going to be a tough challenge to make up. But I think if he can still get a good result, he'll be happy nevertheless. But this is the closest battle we have on track right now. Ventura and Elkin going side by side. And these drivers making mistakes in the early part of this race, but now they're trying to fight back through the field. Who's going to be later on the brakes into turn 5? It's going to be the number 18 of Elkin, who just manages to nudge a little bit ahead of Ventura. And we know Ventura is a little bit more cautious, I'd say, but unfortunately just made a tiny mistake into turn 1 earlier in this race, and rather made his life a little bit more difficult, but didn't do too much harm. Didn't get too much damage to his car, I don't believe, as I think I can see a little bit of damage on that front wing actually, so it's crucial that he stays in the slipstream of other cars. But yeah, speaking of, you know, Sam, I think me and you have both been in a situation where you have a damaged car. It's not too damaged, but you know, when that goes through your mind, you know, you have to sort of pick and choose your moments as to when to attack and when to defend. But Alan Day going for a move into turn, I think this is 13A or 12A of Road America not having the best corner naming system. But yeah, Sam, when it comes to damage, what's your thought process as a driver?
Oh yeah, you just got to make sure that the car is safe to drive. I think is the first thing, and so push the car as far as you can, while still being safe with other drivers on circuit. But when it's a bit of air damage like that, you sort of just got to get it out of your mind. You can get frustrated about it, but you got to push it because the handling around the corner is pretty much going to be the exact same. It's just going to be those few Ks at the end of the straights that you're going to be losing out on. So keeping that in mind when you're racing, where you stay in the draft for as long as possible rather than pulling out, because it can make overtaking more tricky. So Michelin still leading the way, then 6 seconds clear of the rest of the field. He's not the fastest man out on circuit. He's never really been the fastest man out on circuit, but he has been consistent. Shirin Kana, who had a very poor start to race 1, if people remember, he went off at turn 1 and then he spun it on the exit of turn 3 and caused a very big pile-up of cars. But he's been able to get himself from 13th on the grid up to 2nd, and Alan Day has just moved up into 3rd place, and Day is some second a lap faster than these guys ahead. But I think, well, certainly Michelin looks safe right now, unless he makes a mistake. And Kana versus Day, that could be very close for P2. Currently 3 seconds, and with the time that we have remaining, or the laps that we have remaining, more like, it will be marginal to see if the Forza 2 can get up to 2nd place.
Well, I mean, I'll be cheering him on in spirit, as well, my favourite number is 42, so naturally I'm going to be, you know, a little bit more go on Alan Day, you know, as you don't actually see the number 42 very often in racing, but as Alan Day sort of streams off into the distance, we've got Arthur Elberts going past. I believe that's a back marker. No, actually it was, I believe that was just a little bit of a mistake by me. No, he actually moved himself up another place. And Zubrev having a decent race so far. He's sort of around where he started, so you know, a decent race from him so far. Sort of avoided all the chaos. But speaking of chaos, here we've got another battle that's extremely close. These 3 drivers only separated by about half a second now, and I think Elkin is the one leading this pack. Sarek trying to go for a move, and we'll see if Hesed tries to make it 3 wide. I don't know if it's the smartest thing to do. He's going to tuck in behind Sarek. You can hear him lift off the throttle, and I think he's just going to try and follow Sarek through, and he's just backing out a little bit, and this is going to be really tight, and Elkin pushing him right all the way to the white line on the outside. Elkin gets a poor exit off turn 1. Is Hased going to try and go for a move into turn 3? Not quite. He's just going to back out of it. And I don't actually know in this sort of situation if Hased should have backed out, as I think actually trying to overtake and going for that move, and that's Zubrev making a mistake into turn 5. And luckily there's no cars around him, so he manages to rejoin it safely, but has lost a position to Elbus, I believe, and is now going to be under pressure from Sadaya behind. And yeah, I was just talking about him having a decent race, and well, it seems like my commentator's curse has just come back to bite me once again, as I seem to have the worst commentator curses in the world. But Elkin then being overtaken by Sorek into turn 1, but these guys seem to be relatively similar on pace at the moment. And I think as long as they stay in the slipstream of each other, I think Hased is just falling behind a little bit. But if these guys keep battling, he's going to be right up their diffuser. But Elkin, we know how good he is, but he just needs to get past Sorek, and he's got 11 seconds in front of him. So I don't think he'll be able to get any more positions, but, you know, points are points, and in a championship like this, I think every point is going to count. And I think, Sam, you'll agree with me when, you know, we've seen a lot of mistakes from drivers in this race. We can sort of tell what sort of championship this is going to be like. And we've got an even Elkin's trying to go for a move into this. I think this is 12A, just past Canada corner, and that's, again, a corner we don't see moves happen very, very often. And as I was saying, Elkin's off the track, and it's going to allow these two cars back into the fight. It's going to be a repeat of last lap, actually, pretty much. And Sorek then makes his way past, and it is white flag. This is going to be the final lap for these guys. It is quite literally going to be a repeat of last lap. But I think Hased is just a little bit further ahead than he was last lap, and that's a very late lunge from Elkin, but actually manages to get the car stopped really, really well in time. But yeah, Sam, going back to what I was going to ask you, you know, in a championship like this where people make a lot of mistakes, you know, are you going to agree with me that just keeping it clean and consistency is going to be key for this?
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, as Dave found out earlier on, it's not the easiest thing to do. As Elkin has moved back ahead of Sorek in order that here comes Hased. He's been very cautious on the basis he's got absolutely nowhere to go into turn 5. I think his best bet is to wait for these guys to make contact, as he kind of got out to the brake there, Hased, and then realised he was at risk of making contact and had to put all the braking force he could put into those front tyres. And behind them is one of the back markers, I don't think it's Levy, is it? Because, no, it is, apologies, Levy. Yeah, because it's just a relative is comparing the drivers to their class rather than overall position. As 39 sends it, and we've now got two sets of pairs, really, Sorek and Elkin, and then Hased and Levy battling out for that 9th position overall, 9th and 10th. In the lead. There's been no doubt about this man. He's 5 seconds clear, and what a dominating drive from the 777.
Yeah, well, he won the feature race in round 1 after just keeping it clean. And he's going to do the same thing today. The AM driver might actually have the most points out of anyone in the field. But just like a few weeks ago, he's going to come across the line to win in the feature race. Another fantastic result for the 777. He's going to be absolutely delighted with that. Canna with a good comeback. And, well, talking of comebacks, Alan Day in 3rd place. A good result from him. But I think he'd rather hope he could have gone 2 steps better. Elbert in 4th. Zubrev in 5th. And, yeah, wow, what an interesting end to this race. But it's not actually done. Is Elkin going to be able to pass Sorek oh, it's going to be so close. Oh, but he just manages to miss out. If only he had, I'd say, about a few more meters of track left, he might have been able to overtake Elkin there for 7th place, but just missed out. And wow, that's a fascinating feature race. Once again, a lot of mistakes coming out from these drivers. And I think if you can just keep it consistent in this championship, it's gonna grab you huge points if you can keep out of those big crashes. And actually, I think starting towards the back of the field might actually be the play. As we saw from Alan Day, if you have good pace, you can just avoid all the crashes up ahead. And if you can keep your foot planted and just embrace your inner Lightning McQueen and just avoid every single car that's flying above you, around you, below you even. You know, you can get third place possibly. As I'm still astonished at how he made it through that big pile up. And I think, Sam, you're just as flabbergasted as me. But yeah, wow. Just any thoughts on this feature race, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, some good racing out there, particularly near the end of the race. We saw some good, respectful stuff, and yeah, the draft effect is just so strong. You see the overspeed, especially if you can sort of catch around halfway down these 1 kilometer long straights. You just have an incredible overspeed against your rival, and so looking forward to more rounds like this. But I think at the same time, maybe when we go to some more of the tight, twisty circuits, we might see a bit more of a spread and maybe a few less incidents because of that, and drivers driving a little bit more in isolation. As Sion Bubba crossed the line for 19th position, and well, I think we can go through the final results.
Yeah, wow, I'm almost out of breath after that that feature race and heat race. It was another a good day for racing. This league never fails to disappoint. But it's Amir Meshalem taking victory, and of course the AM driver again doing really well and just showing consistency in this championship. Buchanan with a good comeback in second place. Alan Day with an even better comeback in third. Arthur Elbert second place in fourth overall though. But it's Mark Zubrev in fifth place, Oren Sidar in sixth, and Elkin in seventh place, Sorokin eighth, Hased in ninth place, and Arnon Levy rounds out your top 10. Ventura in 11th place, Ben Yosef in 12th, Gabay 13th, Mazuz 14th, Yaron 15th, Sher in 16th, Dag in 17th, Stern in 18th place. And then your final few drivers who were a lap or more down, you heard Draw last in 20th, Dmitry Shirkov in 21st, Zor in 22nd, Michael Simon in 23rd, and your last place driver, Bertie Galili, who I don't even know actually took to the grid. But yeah, the 420 driver, yeah, not actually taking to the grid at all. And yeah, I think he rather had a disappointing opening heat race and thought better of it. Didn't really want to get involved in the feature race at all. But yeah, wow, what an interesting day for racing again in this Israel League, proving that if you can just keep it out of the wall like we saw in the opening round, it will just bag you some good points. And I think these drivers after these opening 2 rounds might have a mindset change going into the rest of this season. And sometimes it does take a few rounds for that championship mentality to soak in. And I think both championships are going to be absolutely fascinating to watch. I really do. And yeah, Sam, what's your future season predictions for both championships?
I think Alonso was very strong tonight. I think he's certainly gonna, over time that luck sort of balances itself out. Like you don't have usually bad luck over the course of 10 rounds. Usually, eventually it does balance out, and I think he's sort of had his bad luck for the season. So I think he'll be very strong, very tricky to beat. But we saw some other really quick drivers like Sharon Kana was just as quick as Day in qualifying. And had he not made his mistake in race 1, he would have been right up there in that race 1. And race 2, obviously, he was up there despite starting outside the top 10. So those were the 2 drivers that impressed me most. And then, of course, you got Amir Meshnam, who's one of the most experienced drivers out there. He's always going to be very strong in the amateur category. So the fact that he's got 2 race wins so far this season is absolutely astonishing. Really good job from him to maximize those points so consistently, and of course top 10 in both races as well for himself. So yeah, those 2 drivers saw the ones that stood out to me. But if I think there's 5 or 6 others who are still going to be having ambitions of the title, because no one's got a strong points lead with 2 rounds into the championship. Really, everyone has still got a chance, especially with the drop score, I believe, which is available in this series.
Yeah, I think that drop score, like we've seen in some of our very own Apex leagues, that it really can shift a championship on its head. As from my own experience, I think Sam, you were commentating the Formula 3 season a few months ago, And yeah, once those drop rounds come in, it can just switch the championship like that. It can move people up huge amounts of positions. It can drop people huge amounts of positions. And I think in a championship like this, where mistakes seem to be fairly common, I think that drop round is going to be even more crucial, especially in that pro championship, like for the likes of Alan Day and Sharon Kerner, where, you know, if they can just keep it out of the wall as much as they can and use that drop round to their advantage, it could easily win them their championship. But yeah, I don't think sadly anyone is going to join us for an interview today, which is a bit of a shame. But
we can discuss the next round of the championship, however, and which usually I wouldn't be that fussed about. However, do you know what the next round of the championship is?
Actually, inform me.
It is the Nordschleife. It's not even the combined. It is the Interstrafen, and that is round 3 of the championship. And so that is going to be a lot of fun. The best hot lapping circuit, I think, in the world, the Nordschleife.
Yeah.
But that is such a tricky circuit. I'm sure a circuit that many of these drivers perhaps haven't even tackled, and it's not a circuit that you tend to visit in single-seater cars either. The curbs are going to be vicious against these junior single-seaters. So, I mean, if tonight was tricky, that is going to be a whole new level for the guys. And yeah, the Nürburgring specialists, the guys who are confident around that circuit already, who have pounded around hundreds and thousands of laps, should be in very good stead and very confident going into that round of the season.
Yeah, actually, that is a good point. I did not know that it was a Nordschleife into the next round. And yeah, I think honestly, talking about the drop rounds as well, I think that actually might be, I'd say, about half the grid's drop round. I think, as you say, I think a lot of these drivers, especially in this car, I don't know how many times this car has been around there in officials, if at all. And yeah, wow, a track and car combination like that, where this sort of Formula car, you can't really use the curbs, and the curbs in the Nordschleife are deadly, where you kind of need to use them in a lot of series, like GT3s especially. You have to eat those curbs if you want to be quick. And yeah, that's going to be very, very interesting to see, you know, who finishes where. And I think if someone has a bad heat race, the feature race is going to be extremely entertaining, just as tonight was. But yeah, speaking of tonight, I think that's about all we have time for today. It's been an absolutely joy of racing once again in this iRacing Israel League. I've been Aaron Smith, joined by Sam Fitzpatrick and Louise Arroyo in the production booth, and we all hope that you all have a fantastic end to your day, and we'll see you in a few weeks' time for the Nordschleife. Goodbye.